police departments, you don't have an option to go to a different police department if you're not happy with the way they're handling your call.
Right.
And that's why one of the transparency issues is, how do we know how good an agency's doing? How do we know how fast they're getting a call? How do we know how they're serious they're taking? So encryption actually makes it harder for anyone to monitor the service. You know, not to mention the 10 other issues that Pat's going to give you why encryption's a bad idea.
Yeah, there's, you know, it's. I've mentioned this before, and it was earlier this year that a citizen listening to the scanner led to us catching a murder suspect. There was a murder at Clarence in Maryland, and the kid who did the murder fled on a bicycle.
635 EOT.
And from what I know, there was absolutely no connection between the kid who did the killing and the victim. None whatsoever. But this citizen saw him stashing a bike in an alley and then start walking away from the area. And fortunately, I was in position to where I was able to come across him and spotted him. Called in St. Paul cars and county cars.
Well, you got the information from the citizen first.
Yeah.
You missed that part.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they were listening to the scanner and
they saw him stash the bike
yeah.
and start walking actually back kind of towards the scene.
Yeah.
And had that citizen not called in, from everything I know about the case, that murder may never have been solved.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, the advantages of having citizens hear what's going on just simply far outweigh the negatives. You know, that's the thing, folks. There's a lot of crimes like that people call and help us. They can monitor their service, so...
They see suspects who flee from cars.
And the other thing that needs to be said, the reminder, there's a lot of agencies will say, well, the federal government has required us to encrypt. It's not completely true.
No.
Required to encrypt certain information. All right, 98% of what you hear on the police radio, it might even be higher, folks, but at least 98% of what you hear on the dispatch channel does not need to be encrypted. It's not required to be encrypted. There's no federal regulation. It's certain confidential information, driver's license information, sometimes victim of sexual assault. There are a few nuggets that need to be encrypted, but 98% do not. So we have the technology to we have some encrypted channels that we use. We have computers, we have CAD, we have phones. There's ways to communicate the needed encrypted information. Now, we've said before, and I have been on thousands of, I don't remember we were endangered or hampered by a dispatch. Now, I will say this, if you read that story that Lewis Krause did in the Star Tribune, very interesting options he raised. Apparently in some East Coast cities, they do a 15-minute delay. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Still let it go out, but put it on a 15-minute delay. I think that is an outstanding idea, because when it comes to crimes in progress, people might be monitoring. We're going to be there in, well, it used to be 2.5 minutes on average, but for sure we're going to be there in less than 10.
Right.
So, and that's a great idea. The dashboard that Minneapolis does, it's a good idea if you keep it up and don't, not use it. But there are many ways. Some cities do a 30-minute delay. Whatever the delay is, let the citizens listen to the radio. And we're not harping on the agencies, but I just wanted to mention it since, we're talking about transparency, and the article just ran here a couple days ago.
Code 4.